Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's Uncle Matt again, this time with Eggs Benedict. There's the recipe for you to pause. That is how this thing is going to look at the end. Lovely. Hello, welcome back to Uncle Matt's Cookery Lessons. I'm going to make the second of my 3 classic brunch dishes. This one is Eggs Benedict. Everyone's heard of it. It's English muffins, it's poached eggs, it's ham and Hollandaise sauce, and it originates from New York. I didn't know that. I assumed it was European somehow, but there you go. Well done, Americans. Anyway, I'll stop waffling and I'm going to crack on with making this delicious brunch dish. So the first stage for me, for my Eggs Benedict, is the Hollandaise sauce, which actually the French invented, but it means Dutch style sauce. Where the irony is, this was invented in New York, but if it wasn't for the great British Navy turning up and just claiming it and stealing it from the Dutch, it would still be Dutch and you'd all be talking like that. But then you might all be really tall and blonde and beautiful. So sorry again for my country's misendeavours around the world. But anyway, back to the Hollandaise. 2 eggs separated. For some reason I feel that I've got to show you the bowl, me putting it in. I think you knew what I was doing anyway. 1 shell to the other shell until the egg white and the egg yolk are separate. Pan of barely simmering water. Really barely, almost like more steaming, and make sure that the water level is not so high that it's touching the bottom of the bowl, because either of those 2 things will mean you scramble your eggs and you start again. That was the white wine vinegar that went in. You could use a bit of lemon juice. You need something acidic to help this coagulate. And that was a hard word for me to say at this time in the morning. You must whisk continuously, but not necessarily vigorously. Just keep it going. The doorbell goes, say, look, I'll sign for that Amazon delivery tomorrow. I'm whisking me Hollandaise. They'll understand. Keep going. Every now and again lift the bowl up, check underneath to make sure that it's not too much, it's not boiling too much. Again, risk scrambling your eggs. We're looking nearly there. It's looking rather nice. A little while ago I did a sweet sabayon, which was strawberries, and the method is the same basically, but that was a dessert one. This is what we've got now, a sabayon, but a savoury one. That is the consistency I want. The texture is lovely. I'm going to do the spoon test in a minute, where I'm going to drag my finger across, and you want the mixture to stay there. You want the line to stay. So there we go. You can see that barely. I'll work on my camera skills. Now this is a nice technique. If you're on your own and you haven't got anyone to hold your bowl, put a tea towel on the surface. That stops the pan moving around. That was the same pan I boiled the water in. You see what I've done? That gives you a really nice solid base for when you're going to whisk, because you're going to be pouring in this butter that is melting now into it, and you're not going to have anyone to hold it. If anyone watches Binging with Babish, which of course you do, because he's the greatest cookery channel on YouTube, pass on that technique to him. He doesn't use it. He rolls up a wet towel. It really annoys me. Anyway, butter is nearly there, but you do not want this necessarily to be boiling hot when you put it in, because if it is, you might end up with a Hollandaise that's thicker than you want. Okay, if you want a really thick one, you can put it in hotter. I would say let it cool down to a temperature that you can put your finger in without it burning. Time to toast your muffins. I just put mine in the toaster. You can do yours under the grill, not a problem. So if you've ever made mayonnaise before, you'll know that you need a nice steady trickle at the beginning whilst you continually whisk this. If you put your fat into the eggs too quickly, it's going to split. There is a way of saving that. I'm not going to demonstrate that. I'm not going to deliberately split my own Hollandaise, but maybe one day, if the demand is there, I'll show you how to recover a split mayonnaise. But continually whisking, little bit by little bit. And what I've done is I've left the milk solids in the bottom. You'll see when I turn the pan to show you, you can see the cloudy bits. So that's what we've really put in there, is clarified butter. There's nothing wrong with those other bits, the milk solids. They could go in there, but they would make this a bit thinner. No, I'm happy with that texture. So that's where I'm stopping. And I would say please use unsalted butter. You can add a little bit of salt, which I'm about to do after the pepper goes in, but it would just be too much. Your hollandaise would just be salty and it would ruin your dish. So unsalted. So season it to your taste. I'm going to transfer this into a small bowl, which will keep, if you like. You can make this ahead of time, just keep it at room temperature. That'll keep for 12 hours, even probably 24 hours if you really want to. Put it in the fridge, it will solidify and it'll be ruined because you won't be able to reheat it. This is poaching the eggs now. Nice fresh eggs. It's a useful technique to put them into a little teacup or bowl or something, because that's the way you can do what I'm going to do now, is lower it right to the water's surface and roll it in rather than dropping it in from a height. That way, dropping it in will make it more likely to sort of spread out. Although that first one has spread out more than it should have done. I chose the freshest eggs I could from a supermarket, and I think they could have been fresher. There you go. Let them just set for 30 seconds or so, and then agitate the water gently so that they move around. That way it will sort of stop them becoming fried egg looking, sitting at the bottom of the pan. And then poach them. It's going to be 2 or 3 minutes in total. It depends how fast your water's going, how big the eggs are, whether they were cold or room temperature when they went in. So I can't give you exact timings. What you do though is use your touch. So I'm lifting this one up, I'm touching the egg white, it's cooked, it's nice and firm, but the egg yolk is really nice and runny still, which is exactly how I want it to be. Got a bit of kitchen paper lined on a plate, because if you put your egg straight onto the serving plate, it's going to bring with it some water that you don't want. And feel free to put a bit of white wine vinegar in the water as well. That does help to keep the egg white tighter, although I think it might flavour them a little bit, so I don't do it. I just hope my eggs are really nice and fresh. So I've got some nice carved Wiltshire ham there, but any ham of your choice, including bacon. That, after all, is what Mr. Benedict asked for the first time round. He had a stinking hangover. He walked into the Waldorf hotel and he said, I want buttered toast, bacon, poached eggs and Hollandaise sauce. And I said, you know what, Mr. Benedict, I think you've come up with quite a good dish there. I think we'll swap the buttered toast for an English breakfast muffin, swap the bacon for some ham, but that is going on the menu and it's going to stay there. So thank you very much, New York, for such a cracking contribution to the culinary delights of the world. Feel free not to cover yours in parsley. That's the food blogger in me. It took over. I just thought it doesn't look quite right. It looked a bit bland in the pictures, so that's why the parsley's there. So I'm going to get stuck into this in a minute, but just before I do that, thank you ever so much for watching Uncle Matt's Cookery Lessons. Yet again, thanks to everyone that subscribed recently. I really appreciate it. Onwards and upwards. Yeah, give us a thumbs up, make some comments, ask some questions, share it, all of those things. It's going to really help us get some traction. And I want to put a shout out to another platform called CookPad. I might be doing a little bit of work with them soon, but they recipe sharing database. So if you like sharing your recipes but you don't like doing videos like this, you can just do it with photographs. It's really good. So anyway, head on over there, give it a look. There was a wicked cross section there. I know that's all the rage again on Binging with Babish, because I've been binging on Binging with Babish. What a channel. And he loves a cross section, and I think that one was a wicked one. Anyway, this was a delicious dish. It was very rich, but you know, I managed. And then I was just thinking to myself, just before I go, any other contributions from New York that you can think of? So here's a couple of my favourites. Enjoy. Bye.
Hey, how you doing?
You talking to me? You talking to me?